Ever wondered what happens when game studios go absolutely nuts with their wallets? Like, let's burn $500 million just to make this explosion more realistic level of crazy? These are the games that didn't just break the bank, they demolished it, and some of them still aren't even finished. What's up guys, this is Respawnverse, and today we're diving deep into the top 20 most expensive games ever made. We're talking jaw-dropping graphics, insane stories, and budgets so big they could fund a small country. So grab your popcorn because for the next few minutes, you're about to find out exactly where all that money went.
Let's kick things off with a game so massive, so ambitious,
It's been in development since before the PS4 was even released. I'm talking about the mythical beast, Star Citizen. This is the most expensive game ever made. And not just by a little, we're talking over $600 million, and the meter's still running. But here's the twist. It's not funded by some mega publisher. It's funded by gamers, real players, people like you and me, who've collectively dropped a fortune on spaceships that don't technically exist yet. And the game? It's aiming to be the most detailed space simulator ever created. Massive planets you can actually land on, ships with fully explorable interiors, dynamic economies, zero loading screens, and player-run factions. You can go from hanging out in a bar on a space station, to flying across an atmosphere, to landing in the middle of a desert planet, all seamlessly. The detail is so intense, you can customize the buttons on your cockpit. Now that's commitment, or obsession, maybe both. But after 12 years, fans are still waiting for the full version. There's a playable alpha, sure, but the final game, still floating somewhere out there in the stars.
When you hear expensive games, you have to think of this one. The hype was unreal. The trailers looked next gen, and they got Keanu Reeves to look you in the eye and say, "Wake the f up, samurai." Ladies and gentlemen, Cyberpunk 2077. Developed by CD Projekt Red, this futuristic RPG cost a whopping $330 million, including marketing, development, voice acting, and years of delay-induced stress. Now let's be honest, the launch, disastrous. It had more bugs than a Bethesda picnic, but under all the glitches was a beautifully crafted world. Night City with its neon-drenched streets, towering mega buildings, and wild side quests felt alive in a way few open worlds do. The game's narrative is dark, philosophical, and often weird. You play as V, a merc with a deadly secret inside their head, and the story goes from street-level gang wars to existential mind melt real quick. And visually, if you're running it on a high-end PC with ray tracing, it's jaw-dropping. After years of updates and the Phantom Liberty DLC, Cyberpunk has fully redeemed itself. The only thing more impressive than the comeback was how much they spent getting there. You want cinematic storytelling? You want jaw-dropping visuals? You want a cowboy game where your horse actually poops in real time? Red Dead Redemption 2 is Rockstar's magnum opus, and one of the most expensive games ever made. They reportedly spent up to $370 million on this beast, and it shows in every detail. You play as Arthur Morgan, an outlaw torn between loyalty and survival. The story? Emotional, philosophical, and honestly, better than most Netflix dramas. The world is handcrafted with obsessive love. Snow crunches under your boots. People remember your choices. You can sit in a saloon and listen to a random guy's life story, then rob a train 5 minutes later. And the graphics? Unreal. From the misty swamps of Lemoyne to the icy peaks of Amberino, it's a living, breathing American frontier. Rockstar even made the NPCs have daily routines. They sleep, eat, shave, go to work, even gossip about you after a mission. This wasn't just a game. It was an interactive movie, a slow burn masterpiece that made other open worlds look empty by comparison. And let's be real, it also made us all wish we could grow a beard like Arthur's. Of course, GTA 5 is on this list. When Rockstar makes a game, they don't just aim big, they aim for global domination. Released way back in 2013, GTA 5 cost around $265 million, making it the most expensive game ever at that time. But guess what? It paid off. Big time. You get not one, but 3 protagonists, Michael, Franklin, and Trevor, each with their own story, personality, and, let's say, questionable moral compass. Los Santos is a massive playground. Want to rob a bank? Go ahead. Skydive off a mountain? Why not? Steal a jet and fly through downtown while listening to classic rock? That's Tuesday.
The switching mechanic between characters was revolutionary. One minute you're planning a heist as Michael, next you're cruising the hood as Franklin. Then bam, you're waking up in the desert in your underpants as Trevor. And the graphics for 2013, unreal. Even today, with the remastered versions, Los Santos looks and feels alive. Now toss in GTA Online, which basically became a money printing machine, and it's no surprise Rockstar kept milking this game for 3 console generations. Coming in hot from Bungie, the creators of Halo, Destiny was their bold new sci-fi franchise, and boy did they throw some serious cash at it. We're talking $250 to $300 million. This wasn't just a shooter, it was an online space opera, a world where you, the Guardian, fight to protect humanity's last safe city against aliens, gods, and whatever the Taken are. Let's start with the look. This game is gorgeous. From the shattered moon to the ruins of Venus, every location felt mystical and ancient, like you're walking through the bones of dead civilizations. And the gunplay? So smooth, so clean. It's Bungie. They don't miss when it comes to shooting mechanics. But what really made Destiny unique was the hybrid design. It was part MMO, part FPS, with daily missions, co-op strikes, world events, and insane 6-man raids that required real teamwork and maybe some therapy. Sure, the vanilla launch was light on story, but over time, Destiny evolved into a monster franchise with the Taken King and beyond. Now we're entering Call of Duty territory, and this one's a heavy hitter. Modern Warfare 2, not to be confused with the 2009 classic, cost Activision around $250 to $300 million. Yes, that's enough to film 2 Mission Impossible movies. Why so expensive? Well, first, they rebuilt the engine. The visuals were sharper than ever, with realistic lighting, detailed character models, and some of the best motion capture in the entire series. And the campaign? A globe-trotting military thriller that brings back Task Force 141. Soap, Ghost, Price, all looking and sounding better than ever. You've got stealth ops in Amsterdam, high-speed chases in Mexico, and night vision assaults that feel like you're watching a war doc on Netflix. Then there's multiplayer, Warzone 2.0, and the huge free-to-play infrastructure behind it. That back-end tech alone probably cost more than your entire neighborhood. Love or hate COD? You can't deny. Modern Warfare 2 was a polished, cinematic, billion-dollar beast. What happens when BioWare, the kings of RPG storytelling, get handed a blank check and the Star Wars license? You get Star Wars: The Old Republic, one of the most expensive MMOs ever made, clocking in at over $200 million. And trust me, this thing was supposed to rival World of Warcraft in a galaxy far, far away. You pick your side, Jedi or Sith, then choose your class, make moral decisions, romance characters, yep, and travel across iconic planets like Tatooine, Hoth, and Coruscant. The voice acting alone was next level. Every single quest, thousands of them, fully voiced. That's unheard of in MMOs, even today. And the cutscenes? Legit Star Wars quality. It felt like playing through your own personal trilogy. The game launched in 2011 with insane hype. And while it didn't exactly kill WoW, it found its own loyal fanbase and is still running today. Square Enix said, let's remake one of the most beloved RPGs of all time, but let's do it with Hollywood-level production values. The result? Final Fantasy VII Remake, a reimagining so massive it had to be split into a trilogy. And just the first part alone reportedly cost between $200 to $250 million. And oh man, they went all out. Midgar, the dystopian megacity, has never looked more alive. Neon-soaked slums, glowing reactors, and a haunting soundtrack that blends nostalgia with new orchestration. The characters, brought to life in full 3D, fully voiced, and more expressive than ever. Cloud isn't just a spiky-haired emo guy anymore. He's an actual character, and Aerith and Tifa, icons. Combat was also revamped. No more turn-based menus. Now it's an action RPG with real-time slashes, magic, and some of the most cinematic boss fights in JRPG history. This one's a bit of a wild card. Call of Duty Ghosts, the black sheep of the franchise. But don't let the memes fool you. This game was not cheap. Reported budget? Around $200 million, with a lot of it going into marketing and next-gen tech. They introduced a brand new engine for the PS4, Xbox One era, upgraded the lighting, added dynamic maps in multiplayer, and even gave us a dog you could command. Yeah, Riley the dog, a good boy, a deadly boy. The campaign had some wild moments too. Fighting in space, underwater stealth, collapsing buildings. It felt like a Michael Bay film with a controller. Multiplayer added sliding, dynamic map events, and the infamous extinction mode, where you fought aliens instead of zombies. Was it the best COD? Not quite, But was it expensive? Absolutely.
If we're talking value for money, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt might be the best deal on this entire list. CD Projekt Red spent around $80 million on development, and then another $100 million plus on marketing and post-launch support, bringing the total to about $180 million. And what did we get? An absolute masterpiece. You play as Geralt of Rivia, a grumpy silver-haired monster slayer just trying to find his adopted daughter and maybe get paid along the way. The world is massive, but more importantly, it's meaningful. Every side quest tells a story. Some will break your heart, others will scare the hell out of you. And let's talk DLCs. Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine weren't just add-ons. They were basically full games. Blood and Wine alone had over 30 hours of content and a brand new region more beautiful than anything in the base game. And visually, even today, The Witcher 3 holds up like a champ, especially with the next-gen patch. This thing is aging like fine wine.
When Xbox said, "We're bringing back Master Chief," they meant business. Halo Infinite was supposed to be the next-gen revival of one of gaming's most iconic franchises. And to make it happen, Microsoft poured in over $170 million, possibly more considering the delays, engine troubles, and marketing overhaul. This time, Halo went semi-open world. You weren't just running down narrow corridors. You had Zeta Halo, a massive, explorable landscape with enemy camps, weapon caches, and vehicles to jack. The new grapple hook was a game changer. Suddenly, Chief could fly through trees, snatch weapons midair, and even Spider-Man his way through enemy bases. It made combat fast, vertical, and absolutely badass. The story, a soft reboot with emotional moments, callbacks to Cortana, and a new AI companion called The Weapon, who's somehow more likable than Cortana. Multiplayer, free to play and solid, but yeah, the launch was rocky. Missing features, weird progression, they had to patch it over time. But when Halo Infinite clicks, it reminds you exactly why Master Chief is still the GOAT.
This was EA's big swing. A futuristic battlefield, 128 players, dynamic storms, and maps bigger than most small towns. Battlefield 2042 had a massive budget of $150 to $200 million, with EA throwing everything at the wall to bring the franchise back on top. But that wall kind of collapsed on impact. At launch, it was pure chaos. Glitches, broken hitboxes, hover tanks flying into the sky like UFOs, and no campaign, which disappointed longtime fans. But strip the bugs away and what remains? Some of the most chaotic, cinematic sandbox warfare out there. You could be sniping on a rooftop and then, boom, a tornado rips through the battlefield, tossing tanks and soldiers like rag dolls. The scale was jaw-dropping. The visuals, stunning. But yeah, the polish left the building. Still, with ongoing updates, modes like Portal, which let you mix Battlefield 1942 and BF3 in wild custom matches, showed just how ambitious this thing really was. This was the final chapter of Lara Croft's reboot trilogy, and they saved the biggest budget for last. Shadow of the Tomb Raider cost around $135 million, making it the most expensive Tomb Raider game ever made. And it shows. Visually, this game is breathtaking. Thick Peruvian jungles, ancient Mayan tombs, underwater temples, all rendered with ridiculous detail. You'll be climbing cliff walls 1 second, then diving into sunken crypts filled with traps the next. Gameplay-wise, it leaned harder into stealth, survival, and puzzle solving. You're not just gunning down bad guys. You're using mud camouflage, fear tactics, and predator-style takedowns. And Lara? This is her darkest, most emotionally complex version yet. Haunted, powerful, and still unstoppable.
Ah, yes. The bald, broken, bullet-time badass. Max Payne 3. Rockstar Games took over the franchise and cranked the budget up to $120 million. And what we got was a neo-noir masterpiece dripping with style, slow-mo, and sadness. This wasn't the trenchcoat Max you remember. This was older, addicted, and working private security in Brazil. A man falling apart with every gunfight. The visuals, ultra-detailed. The environments were gritty, soaked in neon, blood, and despair. And the gunplay? Rockstar nailed it. Every shot had weight. You could dive through glass, spin in slow-mo, and still hit your target mid-roll. The entire campaign was directed like a movie. Seamless transitions, no loading screens, brutal realism. It might not have sold as much as GTA or Red Dead, but Max Payne 3 proved Rockstar doesn't do anything halfway. This game took 10 years to finish. Let that sink in. Final Fantasy XV started development in 2006 as Versus 13, got rebooted, delayed, rebuilt, and finally launched in 2016 with a budget of $120 to $150 million. But all that madness resulted in one of the most beautiful and unusual Final Fantasies ever made. You play as Noctis, the emo prince of Lucius, and his three bros, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto, on a road trip to reclaim his kingdom. Yes, a road trip. in a magic car that turns into a flying vehicle later. The open world is stunning. Massive plains, strange beasts, ancient ruins, and monster hunts that feel straight out of a fantasy safari. Combat is flashy, real-time, and fast-paced, with insane summons that literally warp the battlefield. The story? Confusing, emotional, a little incomplete unless you watch the movie and play the DLCs. But man, when it hits, it really hits.
On paper, this should have been a slam dunk. A game where you play as the Avengers? Yes, please.
But Marvel's Avengers ended up costing $170 million. And sadly, much of it went down like a SHIELD helicarrier with engine failure. You start off as Kamala Khan, a fangirl turned superhero, reuniting the Avengers after a disaster. The single-player campaign? Actually solid. The characters are well acted, the story is heartfelt, and the combat, while repetitive, had some great moments. Flying as Iron Man, smashing as Hulk, tossing Thor's hammer, it feels powerful. The problem? The live service model. Multiplayer became a grind fest. The loot system felt pointless. And those bugs? They deserve their own villain arc. Despite the massive budget and Marvel license, Square Enix lost over $60 million on the game. Assassin's Creed Valhalla took Ubisoft's open-world formula and cranked it up to 11, with a massive map, Norse mythology, base building, and over 100 hours of content. The budget? Estimated between $120 to $150 million, making it one of Ubisoft's biggest projects to date. You play as Eivor, a Viking warrior carving out a new life in Saxon England. There are sieges, conquests, political alliances, and visions of Norse gods that blur the line between myth and memory. And visually, it's jaw-dropping. From snowy fjords to lush English fields, the game blends history with mythology and wraps it all in a choice-driven narrative with multiple endings. Is it long? Oh yeah. Too long? Maybe, but it's still one of the most ambitious Assassin's Creed games ever made. This one had the hype of a next-gen revolution. The trailers, the E3 demo, iconic. The final game? Kinda mixed. Watch Dogs was Ubisoft's tech thriller debut, built on a promise that you could hack the entire city. And with a budget of around $120 million, expectations were sky high. You play as Aiden Pierce, a trench coat wearing vigilante with a smartphone that could turn Chicago into his weapon, hack traffic lights, disable helicopters, black out entire city blocks. The concept was genius. And while the graphics were downgraded from the original demo, the game itself still had style. Tight gunplay, stylish driving, and a tone that felt more Christopher Nolan than Far Cry. It didn't fully deliver on the vision, but it built the foundation for Watch Dogs 2 and Legion later on. Kojima doesn't make games. He makes experiences. And Metal Gear Solid 5 is his most ambitious and possibly most chaotic one yet. With a budget between $100 to $120 million, this open-world stealth action game gave you complete freedom. You could ride a horse, sneak into a Soviet base, kidnap a soldier with a balloon, and bounce out on a chopper while listening to Take On Me. No, seriously, that's all real. The game's sandbox is deep. Every enemy has routines, every gadget can be used creatively, the AI, scary smart, and the cutscenes, fewer than in previous Metal Gears, still pack the classic Kojima weirdness. Parasites, clones, betrayal, and Silent Hill's level spookiness. But behind the scenes, drama. Kojima left Konami before the game was finished, which is why Chapter 2 feels incomplete. Still, what we got was unforgettable.
Let's close this list with a game that redefined facial animation. LA Noire may not seem like a blockbuster on the surface, but it cost Rockstar and Team Bondi a jaw-dropping $100 million. And here's why. They used a tech called motion scan, which captured real actor faces in 3D at 30 frames per second. This allowed for insanely detailed interrogations, where every twitch, glance, and smirk could give away a lie. You play as Cole Phelps, a World War II vet turned detective in 1940s Los Angeles. You climb the ranks, traffic cases, homicide, vice, solving crimes with real evidence and gut instinct. The recreation of LA? Gorgeous, authentic, period-accurate cars, clothes, and architecture. LA Noire was less about explosions, more about observation. It was slow burn storytelling, with moments that could chill you more than any horror game. So there you have it, 20 of the most expensive, ambitious, and chaotic games ever made. Some delivered, some flopped,
Some are still stuck in development limbo, but all of them, they tried to push gaming forward, whether through storytelling, tech, or just sheer size. Which one blew your mind the most? Was it the unfinished Space Odyssey, or the cowboy epic with shrinking horse balls? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this roller coaster, hit that like button, subscribe for more gaming deep dives, and ring that bell so you never miss a respawn. This is Respawnverse, signing off. And remember, it's not about how much a game costs, it's about how long it stays with you after the credits roll.